Streaming across all channels except for one. Standing by. All right, we're up on YouTube. Okay, fam. I know it's been a couple of weeks since my last post, which wasn't even all that. Getting used to this streaming thing, but I'm learning consistency is what matters. So, yeah, let's get started. All right, and welcome to the Conscientious Offenders. I'm James Perez. I am coming to you all the way from Europe. Yeah, man. Today's show is called My Manifesto. You ever watch a movie and then think about your life? Well, I just finished watching American Fiction. It's a pretty good film. Has that gentleman, what's his name? Let me look this up real quick. Jeffrey Wright, Sterling K. Brown, Eric Alexander, Issa Rae, Tracy Ellis Ross, Adam Brody. It was a good film. It's adapted from a novel, I know that much. Basically about an author who is going through a lot of trying times in his life. And per his profession, he's a writer. He had a book that was floating around, wasn't getting a lot of steam, but he saw that in the general consensus, people were consuming a lot of stories about the black experience that was, very stereotypical. So he decided to, as a joke, write a book that was just making fun of it. Telling a story, but with all the tropes and stereotypes that you would typically find in an African American story. And even though he was doing it to put a thumb in their eye, it actually got extremely popular and it kind of blew. And he was really dismayed about that, but went along with it because he had an ailing mother and other situations he had to do it in the real world. So got that check, got that bag. And it had me thinking about my life. And just life in general, right? We look around the world and we see a lot of atrocities. Free Palestine. You see. I mean, you don't even got to look around the world. You could just look in the U.S. and poverty. Veterans on the streets. Children can't even get lunch in schools. It's just a whole lot of craziness that's going on, the border crisis, things like that, what they call it a crisis. And, I don't really care for borders that much. But it had me thinking about my life and how we go through life with all these aspirations and dreams and wishes for ourselves. And a lot of times, we may look around and realize, man, a lot of time has went by and we haven't really achieved much of what we was trying to achieve, and it's sad. I think about my life, my military career, the people that allow me in their lives, those I've hurt in the past. And I don't know about you, but I always thought that at some point I would be able to give back to those I may have wronged in my past, right? I hope I can someday. It's not easy really being an empath, like being an empathetic person, but then also having, uh, an attitude switch where you can make decisions that will cause a lot of pain to a lot of people, but you have to keep that track. And how do you get back from that? How do you get back from that? I called this show my manifesto because I thought about this podcast too for the weeks I wasn't doing it, wasn't recording or anything, and I was like, man, why do I want to do this? What can I bring to the world? What can I bring to the Discord? What can I offer? Why would anyone want to hear anything I have to say? I think about my experiences. I see a lot of individuals who are like on YouTube with their own shows, trying to fill gaps in the conversation that you probably don't hear about. You got the guys out there trying to help other men get laid. You have the people talking about racial issues. You have people talking about politics. Oh man, and I don't know, man. I could talk about those things too, but I feel like so many people are talking about them. It seems kind of overdone. And I always go back to my life, man. I think, wow, I've done a lot. I had a lot of experiences. So I just wonder if maybe that is something that people would want to hear. I'm not sure. But let's see anyway, right? So, you see, my name is James Perez. I'm 40 years old. I was born here in Germany and was raised in the United States. I served the country almost 20 years. Didn't quite make it, but 18 about in the Army. I deployed 3 times, twice in Iraq, 1 in Kuwait. I have 1 child, 2 ex-wives, and probably be having a 3rd in the near future. How vulnerable should one get on these things? Who knows? Saying all this to say that I've had some experiences in life, right? Made a lot of crash choices. Stubborn on some, was probably right on others, wrong on many. I believe everyone deserves to be. I believe everyone deserves to exist. From my experiences overseas, my deployments, I've seen what we've. I've seen what's crazy. I've seen a lot of pain, and I've always wondered about that. There's a show right now called Shogun. I think it's on FX, and the very first episode, what it appears to be a meeting amongst leaders. One of the subordinates of one of the leaders lashed out just in speech, but that alone was enough to have his entire bloodline killed off. That father had to kill his son and then kill himself to protect someone else's honor. Well, their honor too. Their even though their whole family name was supposed to be wiped out because of that outburst. And I'm like, man, how barbaric, right? People always say, how can you judge? You can't judge the past. And it's like, yeah, you can. That was ridiculous. Person had to kill himself, his child, just because, essentially he just couldn't keep his mouth shut. He felt that his leader or his master was being disrespected. It's just a crazy way of living, man. But here we are, 2024, and yet we still have so many people out there who really just don't have any real regard for human life. They don't. Most of these people, they live in a place that probably isn't being affected by the type of atrocities that they're speaking on or opining on. You know, for instance, when we talk about the Israel-Palestine situation, you know, regardless of where you land on that topic, we're talking about human beings. You know, these are real people who, you know, are dying every day, being killed systemically. For what, again? What reason? Same thing with Russia and Ukraine. We probably could look around. There's probably all types, you know, of atrocities happening continuously all around the world. And it's like, when will the human race, when will we learn our lesson? When will we figure it out? I mean, maybe these things need to happen in order to ensure that there's enough earth for everyone. But we all know that overpopulation is a myth. You know, I could drive for hours through the United States and not see a single human being. You know, there's plenty of space all over for everyone. There's plenty of food to go around. There's plenty of resources to go around for everyone to have dignity and be secure. But we as a human race don't think that way. Why? Why? What is up with these conflicts in 2024? You know? Amongst different people, amongst the same people. Like, I'll never understand Africa. Many continents, or many countries on one continent, and they just can't get along. They all essentially look the same. It's like, did we even make it out of the Stone Age? I don't know. But when I say stuff like that, you know, I mean, these are all the things I say all the time. It's like, you know, I have discussions with one of my homies who believe there's a gay agenda, and we go back and forth. We probably talk about this at least 2-3 times a week. It's actually crazy how often we talk about this. He believes there's an agenda because of things that he observed and people in his life that told him things involving, especially in education, certain people who identify as homosexual and things they may have said to kids or whatever. And, you know, I'm always looking at the quantity. I'm always to see if his argument has, you know, any qualitative fact, which it does to a certain degree. But is it an agenda? You know, when I think of agenda, I think of, you know, a conspiracy. I think of a concerted effort to change the perception of the majority by, you know, by essentially a minority of people. And to a certain extent, it's true. Like I analogize black people during the civil rights movement. We had an agenda. African Americans had an agenda. And their allies. They wanted the general perception of a black person in America to change. We wanted to be viewed as equals. You know, we wanted to be able to rent homes and buy homes and get jobs and, you know, bank accounts and be given the opportunity to create the type of generational wealth that those are Caucasians, you know, that things that they were getting from day one. We wanted the same things, you know, and we fought very hard, you know, to get to a place now where it would appear that, yes, we can, you know, work with everybody and be looked at with the same amount of respect and as everybody else. And now it's people of the LGBTQI community. It's their turn to have their opportunity to have the perception about them changed. And one thing I never really understood about these types of arguments was, man, dude, like, why are we still talking about this stuff? Like, isn't it just so boring? Like, what is so hard to just treat people how you want to be treated? I say this all the time. I'm probably going to say this in every freaking video. Like, I don't get it. Your life is finite. You will die and be forgotten. Best believe, unless you do something extraordinary with your life. And I'm not even talking about being a celebrity, because unless you're, a historian, a music buff, movie buff, somebody who enjoys seeing things from back in the day, and unless the strides you made got you in some book or something like that. Really, essentially, even Supreme Court, like, you could be in politics, whatever. I'm sure there's people who can name every president, but majority of Americans can't. Straight up. Majority of Americans can't tell you who was in the Supreme Court 50 years ago. Those are lifetime positions. And I promise you, most people do not know who those people are. They may know one, two, they know all. I'm sure some do, because that's their, their purview. They're probably in politics, or they're, they like those topics. But for the average human being, the average person, no, they don't give two craps. They don't care, because their life does not revolve around those circles. They're just regular people. So even those people who ascend to these types of heights, man, you really think people is going to be checking for Clarence Thomas in 100 years? Shit, in 50? In 10? He ain't gonna last. He'll be dead in the next 10, within the next 10 years. He'll be gone. There'll be a funeral. They'll do a big hurrah. He won't be the only one. There'll be other, justices that pass on. And after they have their ceremony, that's that. Gone. In the next couple of years, there's probably going to be discussions on cases they may have judged, or made opinions on, things of that nature. But all in all, if you're not studying the law, especially constitutional law, you're probably not going to know about those names or care. So everything that those people fought for or thought they were fighting for, it's going to be washed away with time. Especially since a lot of the stuff that they believe in is going to be overturned and changed, and things that we consider taboo today, nobody's going to give two shits about 10 years, 50 years from now. So it's like, why do people insist on dying on these hills? Why? Why make such a fuss about the type of books that are in the library or in the school? Why? Why do it? When ultimately none of that matters. And then question, I guess the question is, what matters? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe peace matters. I just, I don't go out of my way to make someone else's day shitty. Not to say I haven't made decisions in my life that hasn't hurt others or made someone else's life miserable. I've done it. But, that's not in my heart every morning when I get up. It's like the choices we make on a daily, man, like, they kind of count. But it's very, my circle isn't that big whereas if I say or do something that is going to affect a lot of people, but I do have a family. And my family means a lot to me, and I want to ensure their survival in this world. So where I'm living and how I'm living and, where I put them up, that matters a lot to me. Because I want them to ultimately be safe. I want them to have sustenance, I want there to be food in the fridge. And, to me, those basics, really, that's life right there. That's, if no matter what, if at the end of the day I could keep a roof over their head and food in their bellies, I'm doing my job. And I hope that at the end, when I take my last breath, man, I hope that I've made enough correct decisions, so that they can be secure whether I'm here or not. Right? And that's all you really, that's what I think should really matter. I'm not going to, throughout my life, these are my goals. This is what drives me. I'm not going to sit around and then be like, oh, well, no one else can have what I have. No one else can aspire to and I don't have much. But there are definitely people that I know who would look at my life and be under the impression that I got it all together, and that's just not true. That's just not true. I'm getting up every day like everybody else, trying to make a way, trying to ensure the survivability of me, myself, and my family. That's it. That's it. I don't want to put out no energy out there in the world that's going to make it harder for other people to just breathe. And it's just astonishing that we still have individuals out there that don't care about their fellow man. They just don't care about humanity at all. It's insane that we're in 2024 and we have wars going on. Wars. Genocides. What is going on, people? For what? When death is inevitable for everyone. Everyone who's ever said about a particular group that they deserve to die, you're going to die. Just like them, whether it comes sooner or later, you're going to share the exact same fate. And after that, no one's going to care about anything you thought or said. No one. I could make a video a day, every day, to try to grow this podcast. And who's to say that YouTube is even alive 100 years from now, so that the servers that saves all this data, which has to be massive, compresses and does its thing, saves all this data. Who's to say that the people that's running those going to keep those alive? So everything that we've ever created on this platform could at some point be gone. So what was the point, right? What is the point? So that's why I'm creating this show right now. My manifesto. Why am I trying to build this thing? Why am I trying to create this? Well, creating is fun. It is. And if there's something you have a talent for, please invest in it. No matter what it is. If you have a talent, invest in it. Okay? Do something with it. Create something. All right? Don't let your life pass you by without at least trying that thing that you feel you might be good at. All right? Get beyond yourself and just try it. Because you only got one life, man. Just one. Just one. What are you going to do with that? Are you going to spend your day hating on someone else? Do like I did for years, just write shitty notes to people on Facebook and YouTube, having online arguments, not really accomplishing anything. You're going to do like me, just spend like at least 8 years of his military career, like when I was a young soldier, just not saving, not not reading, not being very learned. But I mean, shit, man, when I was a young soldier, all I cared about was getting laid, and that's all I focused my energy on too. Not creating lasting friendships or trying to bond with too many people. I have friends, of course, but my main goal was, if it was, if it was a weekday, I ain't do much or sat in my room. But Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I was in the streets, spending that 1st and 15th, trying to have a ball. Seeing who how many notches on my belt I could place. Didn't really care for much. So I want, I will be talking about my personal life. I'm gonna try to gauge, how far I should go into it, because it gets weird, it gets deep, it gets a little crazy, and you don't really know if you want to put all that out there. But truth is, man, if anything, I would love for those who care about me, who knew me as a person, maybe by doing these videos, maybe they could learn something about me that they didn't know. Maybe there's a perception they have about me or had about me that by doing these videos, they can maybe get a better understanding of why I made the decisions I've made, or, the man I'm becoming, as opposed to the person they knew. I will say I'm proud of this thing, man. Everything that you see on this cast, I put together myself, man. That backdrop you see that's cascading to the left, that took me like 2 months to figure out how to do, straight up and down. There's so many layers to this that you have no idea. So I don't want to take this for granted. I invested a lot to get this thing off the ground, so I'm hoping that I can stay consistent with it and start attracting people to my cast to hear what I got to say about particular topics. I want to talk about life, man, and I want to talk to you. I want to hear what's going on in your life. What's popping with you? How are you trying to maneuver through this thing we call life? 40 years old, man. And if another 40 is in me, I can only imagine. What's going to happen in the next 40 years. Are we still going to be talking about the same things? What taboos are no longer going to be taboos in the next 40 years? Hit me up, man. We could talk about anything. Shoot me a message. So, once I end this, I'm going to throw up my tags so you know where to find me. And, I really hope this is something that we can do together. It's not so much a me thing. I call the show Conscientious Offenders because obviously I want to offend people to a certain degree. But the only people that I enjoy offending are those who sit on these pedestals that don't deserve it. especially people like me, Americans. You know, a lot of us are perched up, and we didn't do much to earn that perch. You know, but we have a lot of opinions on how other people should live their life. A lot of opinions on how things should be around the world. When our shit stinks so bad. So bad. And I just want people to be honest about that. Be honest when they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know? Be honest about that. Be honest about it when, you're a shitty person. And you know you are. Right? You don't want other people to breathe. You don't want other people to smile. Because you're just such a miserable fucking idiot. Those are the people I want to offend. For sure. Because personally, I don't believe in... I don't have enough time on earth to be trying to convert people, man. But I do have enough time to talk shit. Straight up. I'm not here to convert, man. Nah, if you're an asshole, you're going to be an asshole. I'm an asshole. I've done a lot of asshole things in my life. And as, I continue doing this show, you may learn of a couple of them. I like there's something on my shoulder here. Yeah. But yeah, American Fiction was good. I implore you guys to go ahead and watch that. The next film I want to see is Poor Things. Don't know what it's about, but it looks really interesting. I want to catch that. And then I'm going to see that Dune 2. I'm going to check that out. And it sucks, man, when they wait so long to come out with these second, third iterations of these films. You got to watch the first one first before you watch the second one, because I could barely remember the first one now. And there's things like 2 hours. You're like, oh my god, now I got to put in 2 hours on the first one again just so I could, or three. Man, I know that first one was long, man, to figure out what the second one is talking about. So yeah, man, how long I've been on this thing so far? I don't want to take up everyone's time. Shit, ain't nobody watching. But I'm sure some people may take a gander at this once the stream ends, because then they may see it populate on their screen. Oh, only 30 minutes? All right, cool. So yeah, I've been thinking about my life and the decisions that I made in it, and the people I've harmed in it. And if you're one of those people and you see this, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wish I could take it back. And if there's something that I could do to make it better, I would. Straight up. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? So, I want to put that out there. Next show, I don't know what I'm talking about, but I won't be getting all sappy. But I do want to talk about some things, man. You know what I'm saying? Because, man, I don't know. I don't know. What's the thing people are talking about these days? The election that we're 7-8 months out. I hope Biden wins. Not because I like Biden, because I don't. But he's better than Trump. If you don't believe it, hit me up and let me know why. Okay? We need people who are going to keep sane people around them. Alright? That's what we need. We don't need people who's going to have a bunch of sycophants and, individuals talking about how immigrants are soiling the blood of our country. Like, what the hell are you even talking about? What are you talking about? Going to be a dictator on day one? Just on day one? How stupid can you be to believe that? But this nation, the United States, this nation is the land of immigrants. And it's going to continue to be. And I don't care for borders. I really don't. It's all a wash to me. It's kind of like when you're driving through the United States and you start hitting tolls. You're just driving through the United States. And you just so happen to drive through a particular state that has tolls. Now all states have them, but you drove through this particular one that does, and you're like, what the? I'm being charged to drive through a state, through the nation. So basically, what you're saying is, I gotta pay just to drive in the nation. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. See, let's hear some other ridiculous things. When I was a soldier, I was so enthralled with being one. It was a huge part of my identity. I still never really understood why we had to do certain things, like pay for gas. I'm like, we're less than 1% of the population. Why are we paying for gas? Why are we paying taxes? If we're the ones who will ultimately sacrifice our lives, not because we necessarily want to, but if we're given an order, we're essentially obligated to, unless you're a conscientious objector, But if not, then yeah, you're gonna pick that rifle up and handle business. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's nothing wrong with dying for what you believe in, especially if your death is to protect others. I thought I was gonna die. I went to war when I was 18, going on 19. And, I didn't think I was gonna make it back. I thought I was gonna die in a blaze of glory. Have a gym or something named after me. That's what I thought. But nope, I came back. Then I went out there again. Came back. Went out there again. Came back. And it's like, damn. I don't know, what would I rather have? What I currently have today, or a statue? Or would it be a statue, maybe a plaque on a wall in some barracks building that somebody reads every once in a while. Footnotes, man. Those people sacrificed their lives and their dusty plaques on the walls, man. Well, hey, man. They tried, right? Good on them. At least they got that. Think about all the heroic people out there who never had a plaque and will never get one. You'll never know their story. It's a lot of people like that. Braver than you or I. What are we doing, people? What are we trying to accomplish out here? What are we trying to accomplish with our day to day? What energy are we putting out there in the world? I love my family, every member of my family. And there's members of my family I don't even talk to anymore. And it's crazy. Not because I don't want to talk to them, it's like they disappeared. It's like, where are they? They don't hit me up no more. I got a little sister out there in South Carolina I haven't spoken to, maybe going on 2 years. I have no idea what's going on with her. If you see this, hit me up. Because your brother misses you. He wants to hear, from you and your kids. And want to know what's popping with you, man. It doesn't make no sense for us not to have a relationship. Okay? Yeah, man. Maybe one day I'll get rich and I'll be able to send anonymously everyone a little something. Put something in their name. Make them whole somehow. At least make their family whole somehow. I don't know. All I know is I'm going to try my best to be more consistent on this podcast. And I hope this one actually came through right. My last stream got really choppy towards the end. My boy told me about it. Surprisingly, I don't record these. I probably should record these and then post them, but I'm lazy. Once I push that button, I just want to push it, do what I'm going to do, and then stop and call it a day. But we'll see, right? Don't really have much to go off. I mean, shit. What is the news of the day? What are the top stories of the day? Let me fix this real quick. Okay. All right. All right. So, what are the big takeaways for today? Oh yeah, I looked up the Trump speech. Actually, let me go back one. Yep. What's the consensus for today? Israel's war on Gaza. Day 152. Israeli forces killed 3 civilians and injured an unknown number of others in an attack on a home. Again, do we not have anything better to do with our time? I mean, we're not doing this, right? You're watching this, chances are you ain't doing this either, but someone's doing this. I just don't understand these soldiers, man. It's like if I was still a soldier and someone gave me an order to do what the IDF is doing, I just wouldn't do it. For what? Where's the threat? I need to see it. I need to see a gun pointed at me. Where is it? Okay, I don't know who that is. And Nikki Haley got out the race. You should see how they're, the headlines: Biden, Trump, huge wins, and who else was in the primaries with him? Who was in the primary with Biden? Obviously, he's going to win. Obviously, he's going to have majority of the vote. Now, granted, Biden has majority of the vote because, he really didn't have any other person in the primary with him. Oh, man. This is going to be a wild November. And it's interesting because I believe Biden just had an interview recently, a long-form interview. And he was talking about how, Trump is, he wants to take that election away from Biden because it's personal. He basically believes Biden took it from him. Real crazy, huh? So he wants to take it back. And I'm curious, like, what his supporters going to do if he loses again? Are they going to resort to violence? I don't know. I have no idea. I hope not. But you really just don't know with these people. You know what I'm saying? It's like, where are they going to go? Where's MAGA? Where's the next stop for MAGA? After all this is said and done. Very interesting. They got that cockamamie plan, 2025, where the House somehow, no matter what happens with the elections, as far as the House is concerned, they're going to not certify Democrats who may win their races, and then, figure out some way not to certify the presidential election and do all this riffraff. And it's like, what is wrong with you people? It's like, I don't know. Is it because the demographics are changing in America? Is that it? What's all this fear? What's all this scariness coming from? Hmm? What are you so afraid of? Being a minority in America? What do you think is going to happen? I don't know. I mean, most of you people are going to die off anyway. When I say you people, I'm talking about the Republican Party, those who are like the most fervent in this ideology that there's some great replacement going on. And it's like, you know, demographics change over time. It's just natural. It ebbs and flows. You know what I'm saying? So what's with all this fear? It's like get over it. There's nothing you can do about it. No matter how many ridiculous policies you come up with, the laws you come up with, you know, no matter how much you try to be a victim, it's never going to work. Well, you know, whatever strides you make, it's going to be short lived because the rest of the world don't care. Just like the rest of the world don't care about Gaza. You know, not as much, not like they should. You know, they don't care about seeing people die. Why? Because it's not them. It's simple as that. As long as it's not them, they don't care. You know? Not the powers that be, not the status quo. You and I might care, but who are we? What can I do to stop the war in Gaza? The war on Gaza, the genocide in Gaza. What can I do? South African Navy search for missing 6-year-old girl. Oh man, it's 2 days ago. Oh man, stock market, yep, doing well. You don't hear about that too much. What other craziness has been going on in the world? Let's talk about world news today. Let's see. Sudan's war risks creating the world's largest hunger crisis, warns WFP chief. So, yeah, there's a war in Sudan. World Food Program. Over 25 million people across Sudan, South Sudan, and Chad are trapped in a spiral of deteriorating food security. It's insane. Where's Sudan? Let me take a look at this. Country in North Africa. It's a huge country. Look at Africa. Man, if Africa would have just closed their entire border, I'm talking about the entire country. If they were to do what Trump was suggesting. Yeah, I'm assuming Madagascar is part of Africa, but yeah, if they were to cut ties wherever, other country, no more export. Man, you imagine how powerful that continent could become. Get over their squabbles. You all look the same. You're all the same. What the hell are you fighting for? For what? Resources, share them. We are all we got. What would it take? Obviously, we know what it would take. Some kind of threats. Common threat. Aliens or something. Zombies. That's what it would take for people to get their heads out their ass when they all got something above all their pettiness that they could all concentrate on. I don't know. But that's a lot of people would be starving. Ain't nobody talking about that, are they? U.S. stocks rise. That's nice. 2 sailors killed in attack on ship. The British embassy in Yemen has confirmed the deaths of 2 sailors in a Houthi attack on a ship in the Gulf of Aden, man. Shit. That's crazy. Them Houthis do not care. They do not have the best of the best technology, but they, holy cow. Rest in peace to those sailors. It's horrible news, man. I really wish, you know, I mean, but effect. Cause and effect. From I understand, the Houthi, they're doing what they're doing, and you know, essentially they're doing what they're doing to show that they're with the Palestinians. So they see the Palestinians as their brothers and sisters, and they say, you know what, we're going to disrupt these these charter lines, these lines of commerce, until you guys do something, stop this, do a ceasefire or whatever. And now we got American firepower trying to stop it, which is ridiculous. There's no reason in hell we should be out there trying to protect cargo ships of other nations. Nah, that's not. I don't think people sign up to do shit like that. But hey, what do I know, right? What another Trump presidency would mean for America's allies? We wouldn't have any, that's for sure. Except for, maybe your dictators around the world. Oh wow, look at that. UN finds convincing information that Gaza hostages faced sexual abuse. I guess they're trying to clean up after that story came out about the New York Times by the Intercept, basically saying that initial story about rape, all these rapes happening during the attack on October 7th really didn't have a lot of backing, or the sources are questionable. Let's put it that way. But that story pretty much led people to believe something was happening, to cause them to go into action and to, take that story to, essentially do what, Israel used that story to perpetuate their genocide, basically, even though the story was kind of bullshit. But now they're saying UN finds convincing information that Gaza hostages face sexual abuse. It's horrible. Mm-hmm. The current situation in Gaza is both unacceptable and unsustainable, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said today after attending meetings in Qatar, laying the blame on Hamas for the humanitarian disaster within the Palestinian enclave. He said that Israel should be to maximize the amount of aid that gets in the state. Here's yeah, do a ceasefire. They say you want all 130 hostages to a permanent ceasefire as part of any deal that would see the release of more than 130 hostages who remain in Gaza. Yeah, then do the ceasefire. I mean, it seems pretty clear cut to me. But again, people don't care about human life because it's not them. Simple as that. Simple as that. I hate rape, man. So that whole, I hate the thought of you know anyone, male, female, doesn't matter, being physically harmed in that way. It's just it's atrocious. It's forcing someone to be extremely vulnerable, and just I can only imagine the type of shame and guilt and pain being attacked in a way like that can do to a person. It has to feel just unreal. Like, did this even happen? Like, how could this happen to me? How can I be the victim of something like this? And mm-mm. no, I just can't stand men. Majority of the time, it is a man doing this who thinks that is a way to not only terrorize, but that's just a way of going about life, man. Another thing I wanted to talk about, I kind of want to talk about the incels out there and all that. I'm not really big on the manosphere type stuff. I think all that stuff is a crock of shit. It's a huge joke. A lot of these guys, they're just talking to like pubescent boys. That's like majority of their fan base, and it's like they're a joke. They're a joke. Most of these young men, they'll grow out of this whatever feeling of inadequacy. Hopefully, majority of them do. I know I did. I mean, shit, I didn't get laid till like my junior year in high school. It was with a baddie at the time. She was a baddie at the time. Yeah. It was kind of crazy, but I never. So I guess maybe because I was raised by women primarily, I didn't really have a real relationship with my father until I was well into my 20s. But as a young man, I've always respected women, and since I grew up around my little sister and my mother, she raised us both. I always cherished the attention I would get from the opposite sex, from women. Again, since my father wasn't really part of my life until much later, I didn't really care about forming those types of relationships with men, even though I may have quietly wanted that, that camaraderie, which, like I said, which I did. I definitely had many male friends in my life, but I didn't place those relationships on the same pedestal as I did the relationships I had with women. I just didn't. They weren't as important to me as the type of relationships I could have with those females. But I think as much as I thought I respected them, I probably really didn't. Because, I really only cared about one thing. And that's whatever I wanted at the time. Not what they wanted. I think a lot of guys who had much success in that arena but didn't have enough emotional intelligence to like just be honest about who they were at the time with those different women. We always say that, damn, I wish we could clone ourselves. I wish I could clone myself so that this young lady could have the thing that she sees in me the most, that I could clone myself with that attribute and give her that person. Sounds kind of, I don't know. Is that narcissistic? Because I don't think so. Because it wouldn't be me. It would just be a person that looks like me, because that's who they fell for. But that person would have the attribute that they most, I guess, or the attributes that they would like to have the most. The attributes that I may appear to have somewhat, but not completely. Wish they could have that. So yeah, I just wish it was a bunch of me just around. Just, here you go. You can have one. Okay, you can have one. Okay, you can have one. And then they wouldn't be lonely. I guess that would be the narcissistic thought, right? Because if it's not me, then who, right? They'll be all right, hopefully. Hopefully. I think the worst thing that, one could do to a person is make them so broken that they can't find the nerve to do it again. And I really hope I've never done that to anyone. I really want everyone to find happiness and live prosperous and fulfilled in this life. Because like I said, we only got one. Where we at, an hour? All right. I'm going to call it a night. Like I said, I'm going to leave the stream up for a second with my tags. For those who may see this in the future, thanks for watching, and have a blessed day. Remember, I'm not religious, but people like to hear that shit. So hey, man, have a good day. All right, and a good evening. All right, deuces.